Hello and welcome to Office Hours. Today is February 3rd and we're here to talk about SEO. It's just Lavanya and I for now. So good. She's asked a question. And so let's get into her question. Lavanya, do you want to ask your question again or should I read it?
You can read it because I don't remember exactly. It was about.
you said something about you're redoing your website and
Oh,
want to make sure your Google Analytics is together.
yeah. If I is there anything in Google Analytics I would have to do because I'm getting ready to redo the pages and everything?
Yeah. So good question, because you would ideally you'd want to keep all that data from your old website so you can compare before and after. So one thing I would do is use the same Google Analytics account on the new website. Just make sure you're using the same account.
Mm-hmm.
Are you changing your URL at all?
No, just
Okay.
the pages.
Yeah, then you don't have to do anything. If you change your domain name, then you're going to have to change your domain name in Google Analytics. But if you are just updating your website, what I would do in Google Analytics, there's an ability to add a notation. And I would add a notation when you launch your new site. So you can always go back and say, oh, that's
Oh,
when I launched the new site. So you can compare before and after.
okay.
Does that help answer your question? Because
Okay.
basically, it's just use the same analytics code. You don't need to do anything. Just make sure it's still on every page of the site.
Yeah, what I was doing, I decided not to take it down because it's a lot of work. Well, not a lot of work to put it back up, but I've taken sites down. I mean, put them in staging, and then when I went to put them back up, I had some issues with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so with the hosting company I have, it's like it's hard to get a hold of them. So I'm just changing it. I put up maintenance mode. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
working on it on the back end, but it's not in staging.
Okay.
But I did
So
make a copy of my website. But
yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know exactly what your host means by maintenance mode.
well, that means when you go to it, you won't see it. You won't see me make the changes.
Oh,
Because
interesting.
basically I'm still live, but I put it in maintenance mode. So when you go to my website, it just say it's in maintenance. I'm working on the site.
Oh, okay. So that would mean that there's probably not a Google Analytics code on that
It's
site.
on there.
It
I
is?
didn't.
Huh.
Yeah, I'm using the same site. I'm just deleting pages, putting
Oh,
pages.
okay. Yeah, yeah. Most of the time, if you're just doing that, you don't need to do anything with your Google Analytics code. I would just make a notation when you launch it so you can go back and say, hey, that's what happened before and after.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, because I got scared and I deactivated the site, Google site. What is it
The
called?
site kit?
Yeah, the site kit.
Yeah.
I didn't need to disable that, deactivate
No,
it.
no,
Oh, okay.
no, no. Just I would just let it go and keep going. The only concern is if you change domain names and you need to change some settings in the back end.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't do the domain name. Just changing the pages.
Yeah, no, that means some of the pages won't show up any longer, and then others will. In fact, what will help you is if you have the analytics set up and there are 404 errors, Google Analytics will help you find those as they exist. So
Oh,
that
okay.
would
Yeah,
help.
that's what I was worried about. So I
Yeah.
might get some of those.
Yeah, and then you know which 404 errors exist, so then you know how to then you know you need to set up a 301 redirect for each of those.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So it'll just help you. I mean, if you know ahead of time which page what the old URL is and what the new URL is, you can set up a 301 redirect. But something like Google Analytics can help you know after the fact in case you forgot something.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was thinking when I was
Yeah.
asking you that question. But I wasn't for sure if I needed a 301 redirect, if I was wrong about it. Because I was trying to look back at it in your training. I was like, I can't find it right now. I'll just ask.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's fine. You could also use the search feature in Curious
Oh,
Ants
yeah, yeah.
and look for 301 redirects, but I think it's buried in there because it's just one small part of the process. But yeah, every time you change your URL, make sure you set up a 301 redirect so not only humans but Google can get from the old page to the new page.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Hey, Allie.
That should be okay for right
All
now.
right.
Just changing everything. But when I see that I'm running into any problems, then that's when I need to look into the 301 redirects.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So there's two ways to find 301 redirects. One is the weekly dashboard will show you, because it'll be one of the things that say 404 errors.
Mm-hmm.
Another way is your weekly check in Google Search Console should be able to get to some of the errors of your website, and that's where they'll list your 404s as well.
Okay.
So look there and you'll know what to do. Best practice is, pardon me, if you know what's going to happen, but this is the old page, new one, just set it up already, and you might not even see the 404 errors.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, just get ahead of it once you have the new page up, at least.
Okay.
Okay, great question. Hey, Allie.
Hi. I don't know if you guys heard, but there was a blizzard here this week.
Yeah.
And of course, my complex called me at like 1:30 and was like, "You need to move your car," and it was surrounded by like 4 feet of snow. And I'm like, "Well, I can't do that," so I had to wait for someone to come over and help shovel me out so I could move it and clean it off. And yeah, like it took forever for them to do anything. So there is a lot of snow here right now. It snowed for like 48 hours straight.
Wow.
It was crazy.
Lavanya, how many flakes did you get at your house?
0.
Yeah.
It's not snowing here.
I counted 2 on Christmas Day.
Just snow.
Oh, wow.
And that's like it haven't gone down from before, like, because it kind of got a little wetter and it all like compacted down, but it's a lot of snow.
Well, I missed the snow, but only kind of.
Like, I max out like 6 inches. That's a nice number. 6 inches. The dog can play in it. It's nice. It's white. Over 6 inches, I'm like, ugh, I'm done with this now.
You can't drive. Yeah.
Too much work.
Well, I'm commandeering this office hours to ask myself a question.
Oh, good.
Unless you have a pressing question.
I do not.
Okay.
We're doing new billing software and like scheduling software. So like 95% of my time is taken up with like doing the integration stuff for that.
Oh, fun.
So I haven't been doing a lot of SEO the last couple of weeks.
Okay. Well, let me ask my question then. So, hey, David, I got a question for you. Yeah, David? So I saw something weird in my weekly dashboard, and I want you to look at it. Okay, David, I'll look at it for you. My website traffic went from 76 to 10,000 week to week.
I mean, that sounds a little off.
Yeah, I agree. It sounds a little off. This is what we call Google Analytics spam. And this is why we took the time to set up our Google Analytics profiles in a very specific way. And I want to show you everybody why it's super important to set up your Google Analytics properly for when stuff like this happens. So when I got my weekly dashboard this week, hey, you know what? Normally 76, that's pretty standard. Yeah, I get a lot of traffic. 10,000, either I did something really right or something really wrong. But even organic search, 695 sessions versus 58, that's more than 10 times the organic search traffic. That's very suspect. Then I go down to referring websites and I start to see where these traffic came from. Trafficbot.life or trafficbot.life, bottraffic.life. Have you ever been to those websites? Don't go to those websites. I've never heard of them. This seems very suspect to me, and the week-to-week comparison says that I got 0 traffic from them last week, then suddenly 3,000 visitors from them. I'm suspect. So also, I want to check out the host name, sessions by host name, and I see that my old domain got 5,000 visits, even more than my current domain. So that says to me something really funny is going on, because you can't visit the SEOgameplan.com anymore. You can only visit curiousants.com. So something is weird. And the weirdness is what we call Google Analytics spam. So what happens is somebody who has lives in their mom's basement and has nothing better to do with their life likes to go in and insert data into random Google Analytics profiles. I would watch for this if I were you. I've heard people talk about others getting the same kind of thing. Well, what's the implications of this? Why do we care? Well, one, it's annoying. Like if I want to do analysis of my website, I can't, because it's not even correct. This isn't real traffic. I didn't get 10,000 visitors last week. So forever, my data is going to be skewed. So what if I did have some success last week? Well, it's buried in this spam. Never click on it, because what they're trying to do is get you to say, well, I wonder why this website's linking to me. And sometimes they'll put malware on these sites and try to upload something on your thing. Sometimes they're doing it to advertising. So there were some Trump ones a few years ago. In the 2016 election, there were Trump bots that would go and say, vote for Trump. And you'd go to a web page and it'd be like, vote for Trump. That's not a very convincing argument for me to vote for Trump. But anyway, someone decided it was a good idea to promote Trump this way.
I mean, we won't go there. Surprising.
We're not talking politics here. So I wanted to talk about, what do we do about this? This is annoying. It's frustrating. What do we do about this? Now, I'll share a link to this. Analyticsedge.com is the website that does the best job explaining what this is and telling you what to do about it. What I'm going to show you today is basically what this website recommends, because I've followed their directions for a long time. I'm going to change it around a little bit because we got to be a little careful. But the first thing I want to do is go into my analytics, and I'm going to go to acquisition, all traffic channels, and I'm going to see that bump. This is by users, and there's only 1,500 users. This dashboard shows sessions, and there's 10,000 sessions. So just for refreshers, a user generates a session, in that a user is someone who visits your website, and they can visit your website multiple times. Each time they visit your website, it's another session. So you could say visits are users and visitors are users, visits are sessions, because a visitor will visit your site more than once. So as you can see here under sessions, 10,000 sessions, this is not true. We can go and we can delve into referral traffic, and we can see that 2 alleged websites are showing bot traffic, or trafficbot.life and bottraffic.life, or live, I should say. So that is what we want to clean up. We want to make sure that our data is no longer spammed with this stuff. And the best way to do that is starting by creating our own segment. Allie, we've worked with segments before when we tried to just show traffic from United States, right? This we're going to do is we're going to create a new segment, and we're going to only use those websites for the segment. In this case, oops. Oh, Google Analytics is giving me this error they've been giving me lately. The source is the issue, meaning which website it came from. And so we're going to do a regular expression here. And it's going to auto-suggest one of the domains. But it's a regular expression, which means it's a way of encoding things that it can match multiple things at once. So I can also do a pipe, which in this case means or. And I can do bot traffic live as well. So what this is telling me is it's going to filter users only by these two sources, a trafficbot.live and trafficbot.life and bottraffic.live. Okay. And I see over in the right-hand column a summary, which says it's dealing with 1,400 users in 9,000 sessions. That sounds about close to what we're dealing with. So this is helping me get a preview to make sure I'm not doing anything wrong. So what I really want is does not match these sites, because I want to create a segment that doesn't include, that includes everything but these two sources of traffic, so I can weed them out, right? So I can give this a name, exclude bot traffic. I can hit save. Trafficbot.live, bot traffic.live. So this doesn't work. So I got to figure out what I did wrong. Traffic bot. Here we go. Trafficbot.live, bot traffic.live. I'm going to just copy these, make sure I type them right.
Did that number just go up?
It changed as I changed things. So, well, I'm going to play around with this because this is doesn't seem to be working. Let's just try something here. Let's see if I can only do matches regex. This is a problem when I do live things. Okay, so now I'm only seeing this traffic, right? I don't have any other traffic. And so then if I go to all channels, come on, go to all channels. The only traffic I'm going to see are from these referrals. I'm also getting some organic search. Because they were able to encode their things, but this is, okay, so we're getting there. So what we can do is we can edit. Huh.
Is this something we can do before we have this issue, or?
Yeah, you can. In fact, Analytics Edge will give you some suggestions on systems to set up before you do it. But we have to be a little careful. And one of the reasons we've got to be really careful here, and also one of the reasons I'm trying to set up a segment to prevent this is because I don't want to permanently change my data. I want to figure out how to find these and exclude this traffic using a segment, and then I can convert that segment into permanently removing it from Google Analytics. Mm-hmm. So right now I'm having a hard time with that, and I don't exactly understand why. Maybe it's, well, it's, let's go here and edit this. So I don't want to spend time just troubleshooting this. But there's some reason why this isn't quite working. I'm just making sure there's no white space in there. Oh, filter sessions, will that help? No, still getting it. Oh, but I have at least, okay, in this case, I'm taking out the referrals, but I haven't removed the organic search. So if we go to referral traffic, it is excluding those two sources. And I only have one visitor from a referral source last week. So this is working to do at least one thing, which is to remove the referring website spam. But my organic search is still inflated incorrectly. So I need to go and do a little bit more research and figure out how to create a segment to exclude that as well. I don't want to go in and try to figure out, troubleshoot that live, but we're getting the idea. So I've created a segment. So what the nice thing about this segment is that I can use this segment and I can now remove the data from my previously collected resources. And now if I'm going and I want to look at data, what's going on during this time, I can then use this segment and say, okay, I'm not even going to consider that data. Mm-hmm. The data is still permanently in there. And if I turn off this segment, it appears again, right? Mm-hmm. But for the most part, it's gone. So a segment is a really useful tool on several ways. Number one, it allows us to just kind of exclude pieces of traffic that are incorrect, in this case, this bot traffic. But it also allows us, like I did, I was fumbling a little bit with it, where I wasn't sure and I could troubleshoot and figure out a way to exclude that traffic. That is important for the next step. But before I proceed to the next step, are you following me so far?
Mm-hmm. Yes, but I have a question.
Yeah.
If you didn't notice this, would Google reach out to you or try to shut your site down because you have somebody bought? Oh.
No, because this isn't real traffic. This is someone inserting data into, in this case, they just found my Google Analytics code randomly and decided to insert traffic into it. This is not a real website visitor. Nobody's really coming to my site. They are using programs to execute the Google Analytics code to make it look like someone visited. So this is not real traffic. And then since Google is not going to have a problem, I bet you if you went to your server log, this traffic wouldn't even exist in there.
Oh, okay. So yeah. So this is different than what I'm thinking about. Maybe if you push fake traffic to your website, but this is going to your Google Analytics.
Right.
Like the sole intention of this is to get you to click on it to see what it is.
Whether it's a Trump advertisement or a malware to upload into your website, into your computer, or whatever, or just to be vandals, just to mess around with people, But so we got our segment, right? Now, I'm going to do something. I'm going to duplicate the tab because I'm going to, here's a nice little feature. I can select the segment. I can do custom segments and I can go find the exclude bot traffic segment I just created pretty easily. I could also star this to make it easier to find. So now I've got the excluded bot traffic and getting this bug. All right, so I got the segment. Now, once I've determined that the segment's correct and it's excluding all the traffic I want it to do, in this case, it's got a little bit more work, but we're going to work with it so far. Now, I want to go and permanently remove this website, this bot's ability to inflate my traffic in the future. Now, to do that, I have to go to the admin of Google Analytics. And if you recall, a long time ago, oh, that's so funny. Did I not even do what I recommended everybody do? That's funny. The cobbler's kids has no shoes. I'm going to reload this. I don't know about you, but I've had having trouble with Google Analytics not loading the entire page lately. Yep, I didn't do what I told everybody to do. Oh, I didn't do it. I only have one view for my Google Analytics.
Tisk, tisk.
Yes. So now I only can change it in my live traffic. But if you recall, I suggested that everyone create 2 additional views, one for testing and one for just never to change. I forget what I called it. The unchanged, do you recall what we called it?
No. I'm trying to find it.
Yeah. So I'm going to create a new view. My new view is going to be testing. I'm going to change my time to my proper time.
I think you said I have backup and test in mind.
Yeah, there you go. Backup and testing. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and do this right now because I should have done that. So I should have 3 views of all my data, 3 ways to view the data for a particular Google Analytics property. One is the main website data, that's what we'll normally use. Backup is basically data that is unchanged, nothing weird going on. We just never touch that. And then testing. Testing exists to do what we're going to do here, which is we're going to add a filter to permanently change the data in our Google Analytics. We've created a segment to exclude bot traffic. That segment says the source does not match this regular expression that includes both these domain names. What we're going to do under our testing view, we're going to create a filter. Add filter. The filter name, let's call it the same thing. We're going to make it custom. We're going to exclude. Oh. Oh, can we not do source? We're going to exclude referral traffic, and we're going to exclude the referral traffic that filters this pattern. Now, so what we're telling Google Analytics is from this point forward in the testing view, if the referral comes from either of these 2, then exclude it. Don't even send it into our report, okay? This permanently changes data that's being sent into the Google Analytics database. So that's why we want to do it in the testing first. Because if we make a typo here, it could really damage our data. the first line of defense is to hit the verify this filter. Great. So Google Analytics glitched out real quick. So thank you, Google Analytics. Trying to make it look good, but I guess you're not going to let me do that. We're going to cancel this out. Yes, we're going to discard the changes. So let's do exclude. Row. We can just paste that back in there because that came right out of our regular expression. We can even get help. Oh. We need to put before our periods, escape slash. That's what this is telling us because the dot actually means something in regular expressions. Then we can hit verify. Oh, come on. This estimation service is not there. All right, well, thank you, Google Analytics. I tried to do something and it's not working. But I have learned something that might be why this isn't working. When you're doing a regular expression, you might have to escape out that period. All right. Well, didn't look like it worked. So anyway, this is what I get for trying to do something live, right? But what I hope you can follow what I'm trying to do here. Mm-hmm. Number one, we tried to set up a segment with our live data in Google Analytics so we can start excluding that data so we don't have to look at it anymore. Therefore, if we want to look at it, our data, we can look at it clean without this traffic. Once we figure out how to make that work, we then go to our testing view, which hopefully, unlike me, you've set up when you set up your Google Analytics profiles. And now we can do these tests. We can put that regular expression in here and no longer receive show traffic in our data for this. We would theoretically hit the verify, but it's not letting us to verify. And I'm presuming is their problem. There could be a problem I've done because I haven't done this in a while. So assuming this is correct and we're still in our test view, we can hit save. And then what we can do is go in later and make sure that traffic is no longer showing up from this point forward. Once we're confident that our testing view is working correctly, and by that I mean it's only excluding the traffic we don't want to see and not excluding any traffic we do want to see, then we can go into our all website data view add a filter, apply existing filter, and we can add this filter that we've created to be applied to the live data that we usually look at.
Oh, okay.
But we want to make sure we run it in the testing view first, just to make sure we haven't accidentally done anything incorrect. So in this case, I haven't tested, so I definitely don't want to do this. Yes, please discard these changes because I do not want to change my main website analytics view until I've tested it. And so at this point forward, if this vandal continues to use these domains for spam, I won't see them anymore. And he can keep sending traffic to my view all he wants. I won't even see it. And so now my data will be clean. Yeah, does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. It's pretty complicated, but I wanted to show this in a couple ways. Number one, this is why I recommended you set up a test and a backup view. test allows us to test things like this without changing our data. Then once we're confirmed it's right, we move it into our main view, but we never touch our backup view, just in case something goes wrong, and it will at least have the backup view ready for us to reconstruct some of the data that we might have lost while we tested things. So that's the best practice to handle this kind of stuff. There's a couple other things that Analytics Edge mentions in their post. One of them is making sure you turn on exclude hits from all known bots and spiders in your view settings for your Google Analytics. In this case, I'm looking at the all website data view, and this is already checked. So even though it was already checked before, that bot was still able to send data, because this is pretty much, at that point, was not a known bot and spider. So unfortunately, this didn't prevent that problem, but it's worth your time just to go into your analytics view and make sure this checkbox is set, because that will take care of a lot of this spam.
Yeah, mine's checked.
Another thing that you can do to prevent this, and this is one thing I didn't do, is when you create a new Google Analytics property, I do not recommend starting over with a new analytics property, but if you use the -1 analytics property, those are more likely to get spammed than ones that are -2. So what I'll often recommend you do is immediately when you create one, create a second property so you have whatever your code is -2, and then delete the -1 and only use -2. As long as you're starting from scratch, that won't hurt you, but it's also less likely to get referral spam, because what happens is these bots will do is they'll randomly generate numbers and end it with a -1. And because most people use the -1 property number. So if you have -2, you'll get rid of a lot of your spam. So I again didn't do a best practice when I set this up. So do as I say, not as I do, which is a pretty terrible way to teach.
Well, we get to see if we didn't follow your instructions, what would happen?
So I'd be very curious to see if you did set up a -2 with whether or not you'll get any of the spam.
Okay. I mean, I did. I followed your instructions, but we'll see.
Yeah,
I don't have any right now.
Bot traffic spam in your Google Analytics?
No, I checked. I didn't see anything that said
Okay.
bot traffic.
Okay. Well, good. Then maybe it did prevent it. So I'm disappointed myself because I wasn't able to create the right segment to exclude this bot traffic, but I'll work on that and get that together. But that's the basic process that I want to make sure you share, because this is a really annoying kind of thing. It's really just vandalism, but.
Yeah. Well, now we know why, if we didn't do what you said, what could happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And why it's important to have a testing and a backup.
Yeah.
Because if we want to change this permanently, we're going to need those. Okay. Any other questions we can think of while we're here?
The Analytics Academy thing.
Yeah. So I've been
March
thinking
8th.
about it.
Yeah, I definitely want to do it.
What's that?
I definitely want to do it.
You do want to do it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm thinking I might start it on March 8th.
Okay.
But I'm right now overwhelmed with a bunch of other stuff. I'm speaking at a big conference and a bunch of other stuff. So I haven't sat down to write that, but hold on. I'll add it to the list.
Because I feel like I'm using like 10% of what analytics has to offer. And I feel like it's such a useful tool. Like when we have these office hours and I come to you with a question and then we go through it and I'm like, this is amazing. And then I'll like try to recreate it. And I'm like, oh, I don't remember how to do it. I either have to go back or I just will like tell Kara, I'm like, well, there's a way to do this. And this is what I found out, but I have to go back and figure it out again. Like, and so I definitely want to be more well-versed in that. You know, especially as we're growing and like I know for January our traffic was down a little bit compared to the month before. By like 100, but it went from 8 something to like 7 something, which was a little bit unusual. We've been having pretty steady growth since I started. So I want to be able to kind of look at more and be able to compare and like really see what analytics has to offer to figure out what can be attributed to that dip.
Yeah, right. And that's the real value of analytics. Otherwise, you're just looking at numbers. But to be able to go in and say, why these numbers?
Because I feel like we're utilizing a lot of SEO strategies. I think we've made a lot of positive changes. But we've noticed a dip in our social media referrals, which I think is because we changed the type of content we're posting. So we're getting a pretty good interaction on social media, but a lot of that content is not necessarily linked back to something on the website.
Right.
So kind of weighing the value of the brand awareness aspect of it and the interaction compared to actually generating traffic and like how we can find a middle ground for that so that it's a little bit of both. And so like these are all things that have been kind of like back burner brain for me. You know, because as you know, I juggle a lot of different things within the company, and so it's always sort of in the back of my mind, like, is what we're doing, as much as we are excited about what we're doing, we want to also make sure it's productive.
Right. Yeah. And hopefully the analytics study group will show you all that analytics has to offer so you can start to back into some of this stuff. And it also, you're thinking about it right, because it's really easy to get seduced by these interaction metrics that Facebook likes to show you. But what good is an interaction metric if it's not ultimately later, maybe 6 months later, even generating a customer?
Yeah. So like part of it is part of our social media approach right now is kind of more humorous and personable to help bring that sense of like, we are truly a small business. Like we're here, we care about you. Like here are the people that work for us. Here are the things we do, you know, so we do post some things that are more personal, not personal, like, you know, our credit card number, personal, like we do like a Twitter feed that's called like BCBA fails. And it's like, my husband never takes out the garbage, like BCBA fail, because, you know, like stuff like that, which is like funny and cute. And we have on Facebook, like factoids and like tips that we post as little images, like just to kind of get people a little more engaged in like knowing that we're people running it and not just like a bot like posting links to stuff.
Right.
And there has been value in that, because we have had people tell us, like I said, like with our employee spotlight, how we had a family say that's the reason they started working with us was because we show our employees and we show that we appreciate them.
Right.
So even though there's not a direct link, like digital link between that content and a customer, we know the value is there, but we also don't want to disregard direct digital links like between things.
Allie, when you say that your numbers went down a little bit and you think because maybe the content you changed, did you go back over and look over the content that you created? Like what you had before, was it more focused on how it could help them, how it, you know, relates to them?
I have to look because I wasn't managing as much of the social media, but a lot of it was more articles and like linking back and either linking other articles or events and stuff. And obviously right now there's really not events happening. But in general, also just looking at analytics, whereas in the fall, we were averaging like maybe 30 people coming over every week from social media. Now we're in like 10, like 8 to 10. So I'm actually going to be meeting with the girl who does most of our social media posting and kind of reviewing like what are we posting that has links to the website, and what doesn't, and on those can we incorporate links to the website. So rather than have the response effort higher where somebody would have to click on the post, click on our Facebook page, and then click on our website link, can we just put the website right in the post and link back to something?
Yeah.
So trying to lower that response effort of getting people into the website more.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Great question. Yeah. It sounds like you're troubleshooting it right.
Thank you.
I would look at while we're waiting to get this analytics study group together, go to acquisition, acquisition social, and look at the tools that they have underneath there in Google Analytics. Because Google Analytics, or because I should say, because social media tends to not always produce a visit on the first connection, let alone a customer on the first visit.
Yeah.
What Google Analytics has done a little bit better in that area is show how someone who has visited your site from social media at one point eventually might have become a customer. Whereas the rest of Google Analytics is all about attributing the source of the customer to the last way they found you. The social report under acquisition is a much better tool saying, hey, at one point they clicked on our link from Facebook, and it wasn't until much later that they actually filled out a form.
Oh, okay.
You can also go to conversions, multi-channel funnels, and you can see how an individual, not an individual person, but an average user tends to hit different channels of marketing and eventually become a customer, and how many channels they have to hit before they become a customer.
Is there a way to set up a goal that would monitor just people who contact us who have come via a social referral?
It's not a goal, but you could do that from the multi-channel reports under conversions. Okay. So I would spend some time looking at those two reports and just look and seeing what you can find in there. And that might be a little bit more insight.
Okay. Does that go back to what we talked about the other week? What was it? Optimization, I think, where you tell, like when you get an example of if I click, how many people click the red button, how many people click the green button? Does that go back to what you're trying to tell her to see? How, I can't think of the name of what was he talking about? I think it was optimizations.
Conversion rate optimization?
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
No, it's very different from that.
Oh, okay.
The conversion rate optimization may be a change on your website. You make a green button, you make a red button. Who's more likely to click on the red button or the green button? Multi-channel conversions under the conversions report in Google Analytics shows that not all people convert the first time they visit. So it tries to do a better job showing you the different touch points, different types of traffic, the different channels of traffic that someone might touch before they become a customer.
Oh, okay.
So for instance, if you were running a paid search campaign, the paid search might introduce them to you, and then they do a branded search for your company name a week later after they've thought about what they saw on their paid search ad, and then they finally contact you. It would show paid search, organic search conversion. Or if you were maybe they do a Google search, and then they say, oh yeah, this is interesting. This is what I'm not. And they follow you on Facebook. Then they click on Facebook a couple times before becoming a customer. It would show you the original source was organic. There were a couple social interactions before they became a customer. So that's multi-channel conversions. And that's another feature within Google Analytics that we don't talk about a lot. That might help Allie kind of troubleshoot some of this.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot in there.
You can really go on a deep dive. And
yeah, you really can. And that's what we'll hope to get out of this study group. So.
And because like, I feel like I look at it and it's like, I feel like I sort of understand what it's saying, but not enough to really make like an informed analysis of it.
Right.
Yeah, I just feel like there's so much here to utilize, and I just like really on like the kindergarten level of Google Analytics.
Yeah. Well, I will get this scheduled and get it out so we can put it on our schedule, but I got to run right now.
All right, thanks.
Okay, thank you too. All right, take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.